Yeah, Jeremy Caulfield, ex-leader of Dumb-Unit, now gone solo. I'm here in Sydney in front of 122, playing for a good old friend Eric Downer. Known Eric for, well, I don't know, 20 plus years from university. And yeah, just getting ready for a good show. I've been through Australia, did Melbourne, a nice club there for the Lab Boys. Going back up there tomorrow to do a nice party at Section 8 container outdoor party. Played Coco Poco Loco at the Rainbow Serpent Festival, so that was really cool. And yeah, and basically plugged a lot of this into a nice vacation also with the wife, and saw a lot of Australia, saw a lot of the coast, went to 12 Apostles. So it was a nice break after a hard winter in Berlin, or half of a hard winter.
How does the festivals here in Australia compare to?
Well, yeah, I mean, Rainbow Serpent was really intense. Was really neat. It was really fun to hear a lot of music that I might not normally expose myself to on a regular basis, and just really take it in on a full-on festival atmosphere. And that was really cool. I mean, the heat was blistering. It was really a desert, extreme feeling to it. But I was with the Coco Poco Loco crew, and they camped for about 60 people, 70 people all in one camp, and then hosted a Thursday night party and a Monday night party. So I really felt integrated into it, saw a lot of things. It was really cool. I mean, what makes the difference is really just the extreme Australian weather, you know, more than anything.
Yeah, and so your Dumb-Unit label, that's been going for quite a few years now.
Yeah, it was 11, 12 years, and I just felt the time was right. We wrapped it up on a really high note. We had some really strong releases, new artists, new friends, and but I just felt like at that size label, at a smaller to mid-sized label, that was as far as I could go with it without really sinking a lot more energy into it. And at this point, I'm building my own studio, and I want to take my own productions up a few levels and get my music out again. And I just feel these days it's not so much competitive. It's just there's so much to learn, and it's so intensive that you really have to hyper focus on your production, and it's really hard if you're juggling a bunch of things. And also the days of the mid-level, smaller mid-level label, it's a little bit over if you don't want to be doing events and be going to all the festivals. I like doing that, but I just didn't have the capacity to do it the way I want to. But I'm back in the studio now with my own productions and collaborations with other artists, and also slowly thinking about how I want to launch a label that's similar to what Dumb-Unit was like, but a little bit more compact, a little bit more nimble for today's market. One that's able to be ready to release right after something comes out of the studio with myself, or a collaboration. Yeah, so it's just moving a bit quicker. When you look at a label after 10 years, it's just you just have so much baggage that you built up over the years, whether it be a website or for 122. Yeah, right there. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, good. No problem. Did you get that? That's good.
How do you maintain your focus, your enthusiasm?
Yeah, well, I think this is definitely the way to do it. You know, it's like the people around me were a lot more nervous about me kind of wrapping up Dumb-Unit. My bookers, my artists, my friends, even people close to me. And usually I really take that advice to heart, but this time I knew that this was a necessary change, especially at this mark, this 10-year mark, and especially in what I was doing with building this new studio for myself and needing this hyper focus. I felt that I really needed to wind back the slingshot to make the next years bigger and better. And yeah, and I think that's one of the main spots, is just not to always be there with people's expectations of continuation. You know, you have to keep it, you have to change it up, you have to move it around, but you still have to have a really honest assessment of what you're going to do. It's very easy to cut everything and then all of a sudden be in a hole. You know, you're missing your label. The studio is not going as the way you planned, so you have to be really honest with yourself. And I guess that's another big thing, is that each time you enter a new stage, you have to be really honest with yourself about the work that's necessary to do it, and see it through, even if it's going to be behind schedule or delayed, or tracks. You know, you can be as committed as you want to a schedule or a calendar in terms of time commitments, but creativity can't be managed like that. But if you really see what you have to do, you have to get through it like that. Collaboratively, that's really great to work with people, because you have that extra strength that just you can jive off each other and really move a project forward. And that's kind of carried through into my own work now. And I thank a lot of my friends and musicians I work with that are possibly more skilled musically about the need to push things through and finish them.
So like you were basically back to the studio after this?
Back in the studio with my partner Christian, a partner that I met at my old studio, which was a really, really nice finished building that had acoustically not perfect, but quite perfect studios for us. A lot of people were in there. Pierre Bucci, myself, Cesare, I think Guy Gerber was in there a while ago. And this got torn down, and Christian and I, who was my neighbor in the studio, decided that we wanted to try to recreate this feeling somewhat for ourselves. And we custom built everything. So it's a small studio, it's a really small room, but it's really hyper functional in the sense that we can get in there quickly by ourselves or with others, work in a room that we trust. We've had all our bass traps and all our sound conditioning custom made, and I've had a week in there since it's been finished and then on the road. So I've been winding down 2013 a little bit in terms of attending festivals and big chunks of time away, to really just get in there and enjoy this time that I've given myself. You know? So it's this time to be creative again, fully 100%, and then slowly ramp up my ideas for this secondary label and other branding aspects and other projects that I want to do in the afternoons after I'm done in the studio. And it's that freedom, it's that repetition, I think, that is what I really needed to become super creative again.
Yeah, wow. So on your studio, what would you say is your single piece of your studio that you find is absolutely like one of the pieces that you actually
privacy. Yeah. I have a really big problem with people hearing me. And that was a big aspect of, and Christian is the same way, that we really want to make the studio not only sort of a small shell for us, but also that others wouldn't be hearing us all the time. I like to work on a loop and really work it forever, and to another person hearing that's insanity, you know. And so we really made it not only sound conditioned but fairly soundproof. And then so because of that, then I guess the most important things for us are monitors, and we have a good set of focals and a good set of K&S, so we have, you know, a good pile of high quality monitoring in there, and a lot of gear too, but that's the most important part. That's people looking for the club. Good sign, first night. Monitoring has become, to me, where years ago it used to be knobs and it used to be things that moved and blinked, and that's really important, but you know, you can always borrow a piece of kit, but monitors have become kind of the necessity for me in my studio. I think that if I can work quickly and trust what I'm doing, then in the end it's going to be better than anything new or fandangled or modern or retro or whatever. It's just the ears, and I think that's one of the benefits of being a bit older in the scene, or being in the scene for a while, is if you trust yourself with making music and then you trust your room, then you're moving ahead, you know.
So when we listen to your music and you're playing tonight, the tracks that you're playing, typically, like we really are hearing a piece of you.
Sure.
It's refined, this music.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, this is what's really nice now, because although I'm playing on Tractor, I'm still chasing a lot of my older collection that I might have left back in Canada, or pieces that are really been beat up, and like rebuying vinyl on Discogs, or finding things from artists that are being re-released or whatever. And again, it's this trust thing of records that I loved back then, and now having the ear to really say to myself, oh, these were classic pieces. I don't need somebody else to acknowledge that. I can hear that this is a classic piece. This still sounds good 20 years on. And you know, that mixed in with my really kind of constant searching for newer sounds, I think is what my sound is right now. It's got the classic stripped down sounds of things that I've had, been holding on to for 10, 15, 20 years, and that moved in with people that are doing these exact same things today in a newer realm, you know, whether with modern machines or modern, but it's always, my music is always stripped to a degree. Whether, I never call it minimal, I never did, even in the minimal days or the stages, but there's always a strip and bareness to it, which I really like.
That's great, man.
Good.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you wanna?
Hey.
Did we already talked about like saying things sort of like that?
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I did that with James and Eric and that, but I can do.
No. That's cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we should cover?
Not really right now. I don't think from my end. I mean, it's just I'm in this really like exciting stage for me on a personal level with everything that I'm about to sink into.
Yeah.
But on a public level, there's not that much to share for it yet, you know.
Yeah.
But it's
this sounds like some really exciting, like with your new studio set up now.
Yeah.
And I mean, with the history of your previous releases and your knowledge in the music and you know, a bit of a cliche about the journey that you know, that typically a really good producer and DJ can take us on.
Yeah.
That what's going to come out of you in the next 6 to 12 months is going to be something.
Absolutely, yeah, something that I'm excited about too. We're joking that it's the legacy studio, that like if nothing good comes out of it personally, then at least we can sit the kids in there like in 5 years, you know.
Definitely.
You're like, okay, it's your turn to take over. Yeah, so it's just that.
And probably maybe in that future, maybe that's awesome. I mean, the experience you have. What would you say is the advice you would give to someone who wants to get into producing, like moving, making that step from the...
I think it's to analyze everything you're doing and but trust what you're doing at the same time. Don't overanalyze and don't overstudy and don't overthink, but always be aware of what you're doing and what you're putting out, you know. Does it fit you? Not does it fit the style at the moment, or does it fit the sound at the moment, or does it fit the new gear that you're using or what your friends are doing? And you know, most people come into production from either a band standpoint or a music lover standpoint or a DJ standpoint, and you just have to tap that same kind of gut instinct, I think, to, you know, do you like what you're releasing? You don't have to love it, but that's really important. And then to shape your studio around the way you work, you know, not to shape it away the way your friend's studio is or what you're reading in magazines. Like, if you work well with Ableton and just a controller and you make music quickly and it sounds good, then do that. If you want a big analog rack of, you know, and an outboard mixer and whatever, you know, then do that. But work in the way that you're going to see things being finished, because there's no point in doing things if you don't finish them.
Advice. Alright, Jeremy, we'll look forward to now catching you playing.
Yeah, see how that goes. Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, thanks.